Welcome, my friend. Imagine this. You, just 15 minutes a day, transforming not only your English speaking, but also the way you see yourself in the mirror of growth. This is not just about words and grammar. It's about becoming someone more confident, more connected, more alive. Today, we begin something new together. A journey through a shadowing course, where your voice will follow mine, where your ears will notice rhythm and tone, and where your heart will feel the courage to speak out loud. And I promise you, this is not another dry English lesson. This is a story, a practice, and a path toward your best self. As you listen, notice the vocabulary that shines. Let it stay in your memory, like light on water. Repeat it when you feel ready. That is shadowing. That is growth. Remember this. Persistence is stronger than perfection. Step by step, day by day, you become the person you dream of. Before we begin, share with me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it in your world right now? So what will you gain here? You will practice listening deeply. You will learn new words naturally inside stories, not lists, and you will feel how language connects to life, how vocabulary is alive when it carries emotion. Every moment you spend here is an investment in your future self. Now let me take you into a story not about grammar, but about a human being searching for their voice. There was once a young man named Elias. He lived in a small town, surrounded by mountains that seemed too high to climb. His dream was clear. He wanted to speak English with confidence, but every time he opened his mouth, his voice cracked with doubt. At school, when the teacher asked a question, he would look down, pretending to search for a pencil. In conversations, he whispered answers, afraid of being wrong. The words were inside him, but they felt heavy, trapped like stones in his chest. One evening, Elias stood on the balcony of his family's house. The sun was falling behind the mountains, painting the sky in fire and gold. He whispered to himself in English, "One day, I will speak freely. One day, I will not be afraid." That phrase, "one day," became his secret promise. But one day can be dangerous. If it only lives in the future, it never comes. He realized he needed today. He needed action. That's when he discovered shadowing. The first time he tried, he felt silly. He played a short audio in English and repeated each sentence. His voice stumbled. The rhythm felt strange, but as he copied the sounds, something surprising happened. He wasn't thinking about grammar anymore. He was feeling the music of English, the rise and fall, the pauses, the power. A new word came alive for him: courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward even with fear. Elias repeated the word again and again, like footsteps. Courage, courage, courage. The more he shadowed, the more his voice found space. Day by day, his 15 minutes became a ritual, a small daily fire he kept alive. Sometimes he practiced with stories, sometimes with speeches, sometimes with dialogues from films. And little by little, he felt his chest loosen. The stones became lighter, the words began to flow. And here is the secret he discovered. Shadowing is not about perfect imitation. It is about training your ears and tongue to dance together. It is about building trust with your own voice. One afternoon, as the rain fell against his window, Elias whispered another phrase in English. "This is my time," and for the first time he believed it. But Elias's journey was not smooth. There came a day when his courage was tested, a day when he had to speak not just to himself, but to strangers. Elias's practice had become a habit. 15 minutes a day, every day. At first, it was awkward, but slowly, he noticed changes. Words came more quickly. His tongue moved more smoothly. His ear began to catch details. The way native speakers paused, the way they stressed certain words, the rhythm like waves on the shore. Still, all of this was private. His room, his balcony, his headphones, safe places. But life has a way of testing us. One evening, his cousin invited him to join a language exchange group in the city. "Come on, Elias," his cousin said. "It's just conversation, friendly people. You'll love it." Elias's heart tightened. His first reaction was fear. What if he made mistakes? What if people laughed? What if he froze? He wanted to say no. But then he remembered that word he had whispered so many times: courage. Courage does not knock politely. It demands to be chosen. So he said yes. The cafe was warm, filled with soft light and the smell of coffee. Around a large wooden table, people from different countries sat together. Laughter, questions, new words floating in the air like music. When Elias walked in, his palms were sweating. He whispered a phrase to himself in English. Stay calm, breathe, useful words, simple but powerful. He repeated them silently. Stay calm, breathe. The group welcomed him. A woman from Spain leaned forward with a smile and asked, Hi, what's your name? For a second, silence swallowed him. His throat was dry. Then he remembered the rhythm he had practiced, the way voices rose and fell. He spoke slowly. My name is Elias. Nice to meet you. It wasn't perfect. His voice trembled, but it was real, and she understood. That moment changed everything. He realized something. English is not about perfection. It is about connection. A simple phrase, spoken with courage, can open a door. As the night went on, Elias listened carefully. He noticed useful phrases. What do you mean? Can you say that again? I see. These small expressions became tools, like keys in his pocket. He tried them, even when his voice shook. Sometimes he made mistakes. Sometimes people corrected him, but nobody laughed. Instead, they encouraged him. At the end of the evening, his cousin clapped him on the back and said, See, you did it. Walking home under the city lights, Elias smiled for the first time in weeks. He whispered to himself another new phrase, I belong here. And that is something I want you to remember. Learning a language is not about reaching a finish line. It is about creating moments of belonging. Every word you practice, every sentence you shadow, is preparing you for these moments. Let me share with you another word, resilience. Resilience means the strength to continue, even after difficulty. Elias carried resilience with him, like a secret shield. On days when he felt shy, he shadowed anyway. On days when he felt tired, he whispered just one phrase before bed. One phrase can be enough. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. Elias was asked to introduce himself to a small audience during a local event. A microphone, bright lights, dozens of faces watching him. He felt the old fear rise again, his chest heavy, his throat tight. But then he remembered the balcony, the cafe, the rain. He remembered the daily 15 minutes that had carried him this far. He whispered again, Stay calm, breathe, courage, and then he stepped forward. He looked at the audience. His voice was trembling, but he spoke. Hello, my name is Elias. I am happy to be here tonight. Simple words, but they landed like thunder in his heart, because this time the words were free. But this was only the beginning, because when you speak once, the world listens. And when the world listens, new opportunities arrive. Elias had spoken to the cafe group. He had introduced himself on stage. Each moment was small, but each moment was proof. His voice was no longer trapped. But life, as always, had another test waiting. One afternoon, his teacher announced that a group of international visitors would tour their town. The visitors spoke English, and the school needed a student volunteer to guide them. The teacher's eyes landed on Elias. Would you like to try? She asked gently. His heart pounded. Fear knocked louder than ever. To guide strangers in English in his own town, his mind filled with doubts. What if I don't understand them? What if I say something wrong? But then another thought came. What if I succeed? He remembered all those evenings, the rain, the whispers, the balcony, the microphone, step by step, shadow by shadow, courage by courage. He had come too far to run away now. So he said yes. Shift in tone, lively street sounds, footsteps on cobblestones. The day of the tour arrived. The visitors stood waiting at the entrance of the old marketplace. Elias took a deep breath. His palms were sweating, but he remembered the words. Stay calm, breathe, courage, he began. Welcome to our town. My name is Elias. Today, I will show you some special places. The visitors smiled. They understood, and in that moment, a wave of relief washed over him. The stones in his chest were gone. His words flowed like water. He pointed to the old clock tower, to the bakery with its sweet smell of bread, to the mountains rising in the distance. He used simple phrases, but with warmth. Here you can see. This is very famous in our town. I hope you enjoy it. Every phrase he had shadowed, every word he had whispered, now had purpose. English was no longer a wall between him and the world. It was a bridge. At the end of the tour, one of the visitors, an older woman with kind eyes, placed her hand on his shoulder and said, "You speak very well. Thank you." That compliment was small, but it landed deep. For Elias, it was proof that his dream had become reality. That night, standing once again on his balcony, he looked at the mountains. They didn't seem so high anymore. He whispered one last phrase, "I can," and he knew it was true. My friend, Elias's story is not only about him, it is about you. Maybe you also feel the weight of fear when you speak. Maybe you whisper words in private, waiting for courage to come. Maybe you wonder if 15 minutes a day can really change your life. The answer is yes, because English is not just a subject, it is a journey of resilience, persistence, and discovery. A journey where every shadowed phrase, every whispered word, builds the bridge that connects you to the world. So let me give you these words to carry with you. Stay calm, breathe, courage, I can, simple, strong, alive. Let them be your shadowing phrases, your anchors when fear returns. And remember, 15 minutes a day is enough to move mountains in your heart, enough to transform one day into today, enough to turn doubt into confidence, silence into voice. Elias's journey teaches us that the path is never perfect, but progress lives in persistence. Your shadowing practice, your listening, your effort, it matters more than you think. So here is my wish for you. May your voice grow stronger each day. May your courage rise higher than fear. And may your English become not just words, but a song that carries you into new opportunities. If this story inspired you, I invite you to join our community. Subscribe so you don't miss the next journey, the next lesson, the next spark of courage. And please, share your story in the comments. Where are you from? What time is it right now as you listen? I would love to know. Because here your story matters, your voice matters, and like Elias, you will discover the truth. You can. And a voice that finally speaks freely.